Thursday.
Thursday.
Are you sure you don't want to come down? Carl lays spread out on his bed, game controller clutched in both the paws that are thrown over his head against the pillow. He offers me a glance, but returns back to his game. This time, it's a new-looking open-world fantasy, and honestly, I'd much rather be watching him play than doing homework.
I just don't want to distract you, man. And you know how much help I am.
I frown. Well, it'd be more for the company than anything. Don't you want to look through the stuff too? Carl screws up his muzzle, as if contemplating.
I've seen most of it, dude. I wrapped up half the stuff in there.
Well, alright. I pause, but he doesn't say anything. It's clear he's not interested, so I have no reason to nag him. Still, it sort of hurts my feelings. I don't tell him that it hurts my feelings. You know, like the only logical thing it would be to do, but as I make my way into the basement alone, I realize another reason why I would have appreciated Carl's company. This house is as creepy as fuck. I've always been a bit of a pussy when it comes to scary things. I mean, once, after I'd seen a scary movie about possession, I'd been afraid to go to sleep for weeks, mainly because my nightmares can seem so real. It took almost a month for me to manage it without the lights on, and I was 18 at the time. And now I mentally kick myself for remembering that movie while I'm down in Carl's creepy-ass basement, alone. Once I get into the crawl space, I do an awkward half run to the flood lamp and probably would have made Carl laugh his ass off. The crawl space is really fucking creepy. I imagine Carl sleepwalking down here, which I'm pretty sure is what happened last night, then waking up alone in the dark. I can understand why he was so freaked out. The sight of the plastic tarp at the bottom of the steps brings back memories of the tarantula as well. Shit. Now I have a good reason not to go down here. Now I have a good reason not to go down there at all. I still don't know if what I saw was real, or was some kind of hypnagogic hallucination that my mind always seems so keen to throw at me. I scan the tarp. It's white and clean surface, free of any insects and arachnids, as far as I can tell. Specifically arachnids. Fuck arachnids. I shudder again before making my way slowly down the steps, eyes still darting around. Come on, you idiot. This is ridiculous. When I was younger, I used to have a problem where I'd wake up in the middle of the night and see spiders crawling up my walls. I'd scream and one of my parents would come running in to tell me nothing was there. My dad talked to a psychologist friend who told him it was normal, but we didn't do anything about it. Over time, the hallucinations stopped. They didn't come back until the night shift near my university's campus. They didn't come back until I took the night shift near my university's campus. After that, I started to get sleep paralysis, and about half the time, spiders are involved. Yay! My feet crunch their way across the tarp, back towards the tubes that I know are marked history. I stare at them for a second, remembering that 2 days ago the tubs had been turned to have their sides facing the entrance to the crawl space. I clearly remember seeing them that way over Carl's shoulder, right before I saw the tarantula. Now they're turned so that their ends are pointing to the front. I frown, but the prickling feeling on my neck doesn't feel good, especially with me being alone down here. So I shove that to the back of my mind and grab the end of the bottom tub so I can start dragging it back towards the stairs. Sitting down and taking the lids off, I start sifting through the contents. Again, something isn't right. There are a few empty wrappers lying around among the artifacts, as if someone had unwrapped a few trinkets before taking them. I wonder if Carl decided to take a few things. God knows why he would. I removed those wrappers, 3 in all, and set them to the side before digging further in. This particular tub has a divider in it. As I start unwrapping things, I realize that one of the sides is for the harder artifacts, like keys or knitting needles. The other has mostly paper items, like photos and documents. On the paper side, I see a thick folder labeled Biography of James Hendricks. My eyes widen. Now that would come in handy. Is this a book, or... As I open it up, I find a bunch of loose papers inside. While it's clearly copy paper, it's old enough in its own right. I move back down to the tarp so I can start spreading the documents out, not wanting to lose anything. I'm breathing heavily at this point, hardly believing my luck. There are hundreds of pages and I hardly know where to start. After a while, I begin to deduce what this is. Someone's been trying to write a book on James Hendricks. From what I can tell, it was Carl's mother, Tricia. Some of the documents were typed out on a typewriter, so this might have been started as far back as the 80s. Getting married, having kids, and running a company probably slowed things down just a little bit. I grin. Well, it's too bad that this might never see publication. Carl's mom has no idea how much she's saved my ass, not shaved my ass. She just held me down and took a razor. On top of that, she's got it all organized. One divider indicates James Hendricks, while another marks Emma Hendricks, who I assume is James's wife. A few of them are filled with several names: Marilyn Smith, John Begay, Yana Begay, Christopher Leeway. Finally, the last section of the binder is filled with dividers indicating dates: 1825 to 1852, 1852 to 1875, 1875 to 1878, and 1878 to 1891. I start with that, my fingers shaking a bit with excitement as I start poring over Tricia's meticulous timeline, using my phone to take notes. James was born in 1825 to an immigrant family from Erie. His family faced oppressive prejudice from the day they arrived in the country. Despite this, they managed to make a living, with James's father becoming a plumber, a profession that mainly dealt with lead. His father, Martin, was abusive, even more so than was acceptable for the time, and James suffered greatly for it. The mysterious death of his 5-year-old sister, Martha, led many of the townspeople to suspect murder on the father's part. But this was never proven. James left home at the age of 15. He told his remaining sibling, Jane, that if he were able, he'd find a place for both of them to stay to escape their father. Not much is known about James Hendricks between 1840 and 1849, with Tricia assuming that he simply job-hopped around the tri-state area. What is known is that James set out west in 1850 during the gold rush. Luck struck quick with James after finding gold in a quartz deposit in 1852. The first person James confided in about the find was his only friend, John Begay. John was a native desert fox and would go on to become James's business partner. This comes as a bit of a surprise due to John's many recorded instances of prejudices against the natives. With John's help, James officially laid claim to the mine before turning it into a business. While Echo was originally a small camp of less than 20 people, it became a mini boomtown. Over 2,000 people arrived within the next 3 years. Things went well for James after that. He became rich, built a mansion in Echo, and lived off the mine's seemingly endless flow of gold. He sent Jane, who was married with a large family at this point, a yearly sum of money. Meanwhile, no money was sent to his parents, who were living in deep poverty. He married Emma, a girl half his age, in 1860. They had 5 children: James, Thomas, Genevieve, Carl, and Martha. Things changed for James in 1875, though, when he was accused of sodomy by James Begay. The land being lawless at the time, James Begay was hanged by the locals. James was never convicted of his crime, likely because of his strong influence in the town. However, the ostracism grew to be too much, and in 1878, he left his family to live in solitude in the West Coast. He quietly started a moderately successful ice cream business in the 1880s. It didn't grow into a regional juggernaut it is today until it was taken over by his grandson, Peter. He died there in his villa in 1891 from an unusual insect bite. Might have been a spider, but who knows? I rubbed my eyes and checked the time. 3 hours have passed already, and it's late in the afternoon. Apparently, Carl's game is so good, he hasn't even bothered to come down and check on me. I sigh and gather up a few of the items: a pocket watch, what looks like a nugget of gold, and what I think is a stamp with a crest on it. I need to take the pictures outside, considering how dim it is down here. I lay the items down on the adobe sidewalk that leads up to Carl's house. Deciding that it will make a suitable background, I start taking pictures. Hours after the discovery of the binder, I'm still relieved. I was really starting to worry about how little time I had left, but Trisha's research has saved me hours of time. In fact, she'd pretty much laid out everything for me. I nearly jump out of my skin and spin around, still clutching my camera. Behind me, I can see the window still rattling from the force of whatever had knocked on it. The basement window. In a window well, though I can't see anything through it, and it's too dark. I stare for a while, frowning. What the fuck is Carl doing? Did he go back downstairs and somehow see me through the window and decide to scare me? I slowly gather the artifacts back up and place them in my bag, keeping an eye on the window as I do. If he wanted to pull that shit, then I could play. If he wanted to pull that shit, then I could play that game too. The only problem is that Carl isn't in the basement. From what I can gather, it was the window next to the crawl space that was hit. Looking out, I can see the spot where I must have been standing. The chills return, and I shiver as I move back to the crawl space. It had to have been Carl, though. It had to have been Carl. Though I don't get why he wouldn't have stayed down here until I came back. I gather everything back up and start to place them back into the tub in the same order I had taken them out. And that's when I notice something. The very bottom of the tub is a plastic baggie that has been opened and its contents spilled out. I set down the binder, which I had been about to put away, and reach in, shifting through the spilled papers. They're newspaper clippings from the town of Peyton. They're incredibly old, and I can't imagine this is the best way to preserve them. Either way, the fashion in which they're carelessly spread out across the bottom of the tub makes me wince. I don't remember leaving it this way, and it makes me feel sick that I could have damaged any of it. Slowly, I push all the clippings back into the baggie, making sure to seal it right after I do. From what I can see, nothing's been visibly damaged. I sigh before putting everything back into the tub and shutting the lid, making sure it's sealed tight. It's a shame that it's been so difficult for Carl's family to set up the museum. From the looks of it, some of this stuff isn't going to last much longer without proper preservation. Finally, I drag the tubs back and subconsciously take note of how exactly I left them before heading back upstairs. When I get upstairs, though, Carl is asleep. His controller is still above his head, clutched in his paws, as if he'd fallen asleep the moment I'd left. On the screen, his character is immobile, standing in the middle of some hut. A single NPC stands in front of him, walking back and forth. Every now and again, it stops in front of him, exclaiming, "What are you doing in my hut?" I reach out and place a paw on his shoulder, and he immediately opens his eyes, snorting loudly. He sits up and rubs his face, snorting again as he breathes deeply. "Did you go downstairs?"
Huh? What happened?
It's almost funny how utterly confused he looks. If he's acting, he's doing a damn good job of it. I heard some noises downstairs. I thought it was you.
No. I don't think so.
Things were moved around, too. He takes in a deep breath before blowing it out.
I told you, man. This place is haunted. I wasn't joking.
We both look at each other for a moment. Finally, Carl breaks the awkward silence.
So, how'd it go? Aside from the ghosts.
It went alright. Just 3 hours and a bunch of research. He looks at me blearily.
Oh, shit. Seriously? I was gonna come down after a while. I just...
Fell asleep, yeah. Anyway, we were supposed to go out today.
Really?
Yeah, remember? You said so a few days ago. Carl looks around.
Well, what'd you want to do?
I think... don't you have an interview tomorrow?
Don't remind me.
Carl picks up his controller again and I frown. Well, I was thinking we could go out and maybe give you a new look. Now Carl frowns, clicking away at the controller.
Like what?
Well, your clothes for one. Do you have any dress clothes? Yeah, Carl, do you have any dresses?
Yeah, you look pretty nice in a dress, Carl. The ram can get rammed.
Oh, you don't?
Mm-hmm.
Seriously? Have you ever had an interview before?
Well, yeah. It's just that I've, grown out of them.
Uh-huh. Well, we definitely need to get you some of those clothes. I look at his beard thoroughly. I look at his beard thoughtfully. Maybe we should give you a more...
really inspecting his beard.
Every
You got a lot of
follicle.
highlights there, bro.
Yeah, every follicle. You know, you gotta look at it. Oh man, look at this root.
I'm looking at
Just-
every single hair.
Just whips out like...
And it just don't look good, boy.
He just puts on some like doctor goggles and it has like a little magnifier on it, and another one, and then another one. This follicle looks infected.
You'd be like, damn, Ram, you got some pimps. Pimpsels.
Maybe we should give you a more clean-cut look. Carl doesn't say anything and instead goes on frowning. I put a paw down on his controller, forcing him to pause. Come on, it'll be fun. You can't stay in this house, in this room forever. He finally does look at me, then his expression is kind of sad. What's wrong? Carl looks away and stands up slowly, his joints popping.
Nothing. If it makes you happy, then why not?
Great!
Just so you know, I'd rather just play some video games with you.
It's tempting. Just watching Carl play is a lot of fun, with his style and commentary, but this is more important. I really want to help him out. Maybe later tonight. let's get this done first. So apparently, your great-great-great-great-grandfather was accused of sodomy.
What?
Carl looks up from his phone, his muzzle wrinkling. Yep, but John Begay, who I'm almost positive is related to Jenna. But I'll have to ask her.
Are you serious? How did you find that out?
He pauses.
And maybe don't ask Jenna about that. Also, did you do that by reading? I wish I knew how to do that.
Yeah, what's reading?
What's reading? That's only used for text and RPGs, man.
Yeah, man.
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 Fuck.
Goat.
Man. Goat. Dope. Dope goat.
From what I can tell, your mom's trying to write a book. Carl strokes his beard.
Oh yeah, she is, isn't she? Well, was more like it. I don't think she's worked on it in years.
From the looks of it, she started it in college.
Damn. Well, I do remember her saying it stressed her out a lot, or that something happened to make her stop.
Carl seems to be thinking.
Actually, I think I remember her talking to my dad about how those old things freaked her out. Or something.
He shrugs.
But we've always said the house is haunted.
Carl's phone starts buzzing again.
And speaking of Jenna, she's calling me.
Carl looks a bit perturbed, but he puts on a cheerful voice as he answers it.
Hey, bitch! No, I'm just kidding.
He's just Lucifer.
Yo, well ears. Yeah, just Lucifer, yeah. What's up, bitch? No. Yo, well ears.
Ah, that old name. As he listens to her response, I see his smile slowly slide off his face. I can hear the sharp, muffled tones of Jenna's voice, even though he's holding the phone on the other side of his face.
I don't.
I guess she cuts him off because he doesn't finish. I glare. Here, let me talk to her. The way Jenna acted yesterday, which isn't like her at all, is giving me a pretty good idea of what she's going off about right now. Carl doesn't give me the phone, though. Instead, just staring out the windshield as we continue on the highway. Finally, he lowers the phone from his ear, then stares at the screen for a while. She hang up?
Yeah. Said something about how Leo's depressed now, and how us hanging out by ourselves isn't helping things.
I roll my eyes. What do you mean, Carl? You mean that Jenna just always putting Leo in his place at her feet is like not depressing him every chance she gets?
Right? She's kind of like the boss. Like, she kind of, I don't want to say bullies everyone, but she kind of keeps everyone in check like a real strict mom sometimes. Especially in regards to TJ.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, she's been through some serious shit is what my assumption is. So it's like,
Yeah.
people who have been through that kind of stuff, especially if they felt weak during it, they will usually try to take charge of as much stuff as they can just to keep it all together.
And just be real aggressive about it.
I mean, they can be. That's their coping mechanism. You know, they feel safer the more in control they are. And there's usually this point where eventually they realize that they're being a little too aggressive. And that's when they either, and you know, if it's the first time that's happened, they like pull way back, like too far back, and people think they just don't care anymore. And then eventually they learn that that point where it's like, okay, I'm being too extra right now. It's time to pull it back a little bit.
That's where the real passive person becomes very, very aggressive, and then they finally learn, like, oh, I probably tone it back, and then that's what people call assertive, which is what that's what everyone says is the appropriate and healthy response, not being aggressive.
Yeah. Being
Something like
aggressive can work just fine, though. It just depends on how you do it.
And who you do it with, and the setting, and all that. There's a lot of little factors.
Where you do it, yeah. Yeah. How many clothes you're wearing when you do it.
Typically it all depends on location and attire, If there's a lot of attire, if there's no attire.
Some attire is made of rubber.
Attire. Yeah, some attires are made of rubber. Hell, fashion shows, yeah. I would like some attire.
But, yeah, it's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Go for it, Chase.
All right. You know what? Fuck Jenna. She's been on one since Leo's day didn't go the way he wanted. Didn't go the way he wanted it to. For some reason, she just wants to blame you.
Yeah.
Carl looks out his window, so I can't really gauge the mood he's in. Listen, let's get something to eat first. I'll buy.
No. My parents are rich. I'll buy. I'll pay.
I can't exactly argue with that, so I don't. I also don't feel like I can leave it at that, so hesitantly I reach out a paw and place it on Carl's shoulder. Seriously, let's have fun today, alright? Okay? Fuck Jenna. Forget Jenna. He looks over at me and gives me a sad smile.
I'm fine, Jace. I just want to get this over with so we can go back and play some games.
I sigh. Is that all you think about these days?
Hey, lots of people play games for a living.
Name one.
Rob Lowe, Jacksepticeye, Markiplier.
That's a sport.
Let's see. Hold on. I get some other ones.
Bob
Wait,
Wade.
I know some. Yeah, Bob Wade. I know some other ones. Hold on.
Okay. What would Markiplier's furry character be?
I don't know.
What about
Hold
Bob?
on. I've got some right here. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
There's some other people that play games. Lamar Jackson. Trying to get some famous ones. Patrick Mahomes.
Low tier god.
Dark Side Phil. Dak Prescott. Baker Mayfield. Brock Purdy. I'm listing off people that are quarterbacks for football. They're playing games for a living.
Yeah, technically correct.
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. And I mean, Carl's going to eventually, he's going to eventually sign up for that one streaming service, Only Goats.
Only Goats. Well, honestly, Carl does have the body for football if he would just commit himself to doing that. But at the same time, he would be a good blocker, I think they're called. I have no idea what they're called. A good tackle, I think that's what it is. Or they just block people on the line. That's probably not what a tackle is, but
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Go Sports.
Yeah, he's built like a tank in a way, so he could definitely just stop somebody. There's a lot of people on there kind of look like sumo wrestlers in a way. They're just really bulked up with a lot of muscle. But yeah, he would do that pretty well. Plus, he's a ram, so yeah, literally butt heads with people. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, Carl. It's jaundice! How'd you get in the back seat?
I was wondering why my car was like leaning off to a side and like sort of like leaning to the left.
Well, I saw sparks out at the passenger side, like rear view, like the side window. Like I was like, "What? There's sparks! Like,
Yeah.
What's happening?
What is that grinding sound? Just
Why did my tires pop on that side? I don't understand."
two fat guys make fun of a fat lady.
All right. Let's see. That's a sport. Okay, so yeah, go ahead, Chase.
Okay. I grin as I hear that hockey playfulness, that jokey playfulness is back in his voice. I'm glad to be able to take my mind off Jenna for the moment. Well, at least that keeps them active. Playing games all day will get you unhealthy.
Fat? If you didn't notice, I'm already there.
You're not that bad. I swear you're mostly muscle.
Then I guess I've got nothing to worry about.
But you should get out more.
Why? I've got entire worlds in my game.
I don't know. What about girls?
They're in games too.
Well, you can't exactly touch a boob with your actual paws in a game.
I don't know. I swear they've got those in Anime Land.
You know what I mean.
Already done it. Not that great.
Are you a queer or something?
Hold on, actually, I say it with a southern accent. So let's go back. You can say it with a southern accent.
You a queer or something? I say it with a southern accent.
Let's just say I don't label my sexuality, son.
Confirmed Carl is non-binary. I let that sit for a second. That's a pretty queer thing to say.
I guess I'm pretty queer dude then.
Is that so?
Besides, until I'm able to see my hooves again, I don't think any girls are gonna be after me.
Well, that's what we're doing right now. Trying to give you a fresh look, going to give you a new look, a fresh start. It'll boost your confidence and your appeal. You'll have girls and boys after you. Again, Carl doesn't act very enthused about that. I tell myself it's only because he has to go out. Once we get there, I'm sure he'll cheer up. I swear, every store in the Peyton Mall is dark and covered in neon. Carl stands there, awkwardly, looking around as if unsure about what to do. So, what kind of look do you want to go for? Carl looks at me like I'm crazy.
Seriously, dude? I have no idea. You brought me here. To the hot topic. Look at everything.
Are they selling furry stuff now? Just work with this. Look, just work with this for the next hour, and I promise we can go to the game store next. Carl makes a big show of sighing, but I assume the twitch in his ear indicates that he'd like that a lot.
Well, it's just dress clothes, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Carl's getting all insecure the way he did during the surprise birthday party. It's kind of cute.
All right, so this is a husky. So did you want to do a husky, or you want me to take on the husky? Because I've got a voice for him already.
Okay, go
I
for
think
it.
it's pretty good. Carl? Chess?
The voice comes from behind me, and Carl smiles over my shoulder before I turn around. Raven? The black and white two-toned husky is just a few feet behind me, grinning.
How long has it been?
Too long, man. What are you doing here?
Family moved back after Dad got fired. Now I work here. I could ask the same about you, Chess.
Oh, just on spring break right now. You work at a clothing store now? Raven laughs.
No, I'm a store down. I work at Game Central.
Carl perks up at that.
So you're still in school, huh? Well, it's great to see you.
Raven's accent is only slightly detectable now. The only noticeable foreign thing about him being his name.
So, what are you guys doing here? Getting clothes?
Yeah, for Carl, actually. He has an interview tomorrow. For some reason, Carl ducks his head at that, and through his ears, I can see him blush deeply.
Oh, really? It's about time.
I mean, I have had a job before.
So what kind of look are you going for?
When Carl doesn't answer, I speak up. That's what we're trying to figure out just now, actually.
Everyone asks the same thing. What do you want to do? What do you want to look like? It's amazing. It's like it was written by the same person.
I know, so strange. Carl shrinks further into himself, his hat seeming to fall further over his eyes.
Dude, it's just dress clothes. Really?
Well, I think you should get a red tie, at least. Might go good with your eyes. And maybe trim that beard.
Since when are you a fashionista?
Come on, Carl. Let's at least try it out. Carl sighs, rubbing his forehead.
Okay. Fine. But only as long as we're out of here in the next hour.
Hey, I gotta get back to work, but I'll be free in about an hour. Let's catch up.
I wave at Raven, then turn to Carl. Well, that was nice. Didn't think I'd ever see him again.
Me neither, actually. I'll have to hang out with him more. I mean, I like Flynn, but having to put up with him just to get a ride to the store isn't always worth it.
Well, anyway, if you're wanting to get out of here in an hour, then we should probably get started. The process is a lot less painful than Carl makes it out to be. Soon enough, we're on our way out to the food court, Carl carrying a bag way too big for the contents inside. We meet Raven again, and once we get our food, he suggests we eat outside.
I can just imagine that the process of getting started for Carl and Chase is Carl just takes his shirt off in the middle of the store, just standing there. You think this will fit? You think this will fit?
Can I get this shirt on? Oops.
Oops, I tore it.
He just sort of
I guess small's not my size.
he tries to turn his body and he flexes his muscles and the shirt explodes.
It's like freaking Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, he's just Alexander. Or whatever his name
With
is.
a lot of extra weight.
No, he's the fat butcher from Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking just now, it's as if Alexander and Gluttony had a baby. It's just like, it's Carl.
See, that's how Carl and Leo, that's how they communicate. They just sort of flex at each other, and then eventually they just shake hands.
Yeah, that'd be, yeah, if Carl got really buff and Leo got really buff, they just look at each other and flex. That's how they say hello and say goodbye. They just flex. Okay, go for it.
I look from my full combo meal to Carl's small, tiny container of tater tots. You not hungry? Carl just shrugs and grins at me.
You just don't know the ways of the fatty.
Huh?
We're judged all the time, especially when we're eating.
He delicately bites a tater tot in half before adopting a sarcastic tone.
Ew, gross. Of course he's eating. Ugh.
That seems kind of unfair.
See? Raven thinks so too.
The husky is in the middle of a huge bite with his Subway sandwich. His eyes on Carl. He swallows before speaking.
Hey, I can see that you're self-deprecating as ever.
You know me.
So, Chase, are you still dating that wolf? Leon?
Leo, and no. I ignored the sidelong glance I get from Carl.
Ah, sorry to hear that. You two were really cute together.
It's hard to know what to say when people comment on your relationship. If someone isn't homophobic, gay relationships are usually cute or adorable. Or maybe it's just the size difference.
But seriously, I've always wanted to date an otter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're adorable.
Swimming clowns. Do tell. Raven picks up on my sarcastic tone right away, but it doesn't seem to faze him.
Yeah, well, you know what they say about otters and blowjobs.
Carl almost chokes on his last tater tot.
The hell, Raven? You barely know him, and you're saying that shit?
Carl's laughing, though. I'm sure to keep my face passive. What do they say about otters and blowjobs? Raven laughs.
You know, they never have to come up for air. 10 minutes, non-stop.
Raven giggles and makes a visible effort to keep a straight face.
Sorry, I don't mean to make you uncomfortable. It's just one of those jokes I always hear. It's kind of speciesist.
You can imagine I do, too, and it's 8 minutes, by the way.
I take that too. 8, 10, same thing.
Carl crumples up a straw paper and flicks it off Raven's bluish-looking nose, to which he simply smiles. Carl stands up.
Hey, I'm going to the bathroom. Raven, don't be a dick.
I'm not!
We both watch Carl amble off before Raven turns back to me, that dopey smile back on his face.
So, how long are you gonna be here, Chase? We need to catch up.
I wonder what catching up means when our biggest interaction up until this point was dissecting a shark in high school biology. Sunday. School starts up again on Monday. Despite having a head start on the project thanks to Carl's mom, I still get a nervous twinge in my stomach. I still have a lot left to do. Voiceovers, B-rolls, and oh god, editing.
We should hang out.
His adorable excitement is barely contained, and I'm pretty sure I can hear the thumping of his tail against the curb we're sitting on. Despite my earlier offense at his stereotyping of otters, I'm reminded of how much worse dogs get it. They're not common in Echo, or this side of the world, for that matter. While otters are thought of as entertainers, I feel like it's better than dealing with being seen as a simpleton. So, the main reason I'm here is to do a news segment on Echo for class.
Ooh! Is it gonna be on TV?
I laugh. No. I mean, maybe, but I could get it into rotation on the college TV station, but otherwise, no.
Well, that's still pretty cool.
But my point is that it's kind of boring.
What? Is it just a bunch of writing, or...?
Mostly going through old stuff. Carl's family saved a bunch of artifacts from the old days.
Whoa, so you're, like, actually touching the old stuff?
Yeah. That's kind of a weird way to put it, but yeah.
That sounds awesome!
His outgoing nature is kind of infectious. I smile. Well, if you're really interested, I wouldn't mind having some help.
That's great! I have the next 2 days off.
Cool. We'll ask Carl when he gets back. It takes a while for the ram to return, but when he does, he seems a bit reluctant to agree to the idea, which kind of surprises me. But eventually we convince him, and we make plans for Raven to come over the next day. As we're heading back out to the car, I nudge Carl, forcing him into a slight stumble. What's up?
What do you mean?
I try to keep my tone light. You seem a bit down. Actually, you have all day. Carl shrugs. I nudge him again and he giggles.
I don't know. It's just awkward coming out here and having you two just examine me like that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, dude. It just feels kind of weird is all.
I stay silent for a moment, wondering if I'd made the right decision in doing all this. Well, I'm just trying to help you out, you know?
I know, bro. It's cool.
Seriously, I've been thinking.
Oh no, that's a dangerous habit, dude.
Your main problem is worrying about going out in public. Like a social anxiety.
Whoa. Now you're sounding like Jenna. Not cool, ma'am.
It was Leo's party. Young goat. Well, he gets into my car and he smiles at me over the roof while I unlock the doors. I feel like if we can break through that, it'll help you out a bunch. I break eye contact as we both slide into our respective seats. And I think this job will be a huge part of that. So I really want you to get it. As I lean to the side to pull out my seatbelts, I feel something soft and warm press to my cheek. It lasts only for a second, then it's gone. I look over at Carl, but he's looking out the window. Did you just kiss me? Or is Jenna in the back seat? No, Jenna's not in the back seat.
Jenna's here too, but yeah, bro. I kissed
Huge
you.
beard. Are you high?
No, but I mean, maybe.
He giggles. So, yes. Slowly, I pull out of the parking space. If he hadn't made a move on me last night, I might have been a little more shocked. Where the hell did you get high anyway?
Alley behind the mall?
Charming.
Yeah. Pretty sure I've got a few needles stuck in my hooves.
We drive in silence for a while, Carl looking out at the desert scenery, while I squint out of the windshield, trying to see through the hazy orange sunset.
I did mean that, by the way.
What, the hoops and the needles?
Yeah, the tetanus my feet are gonna be having. I mean, just thanks, man.
Sure. I don't know what else to say, so I leave it at that, and we drive along in pleasant silence. Carl still seems a little sad, and I can't pinpoint why. I'm hoping that it's just a phase. That by the time this interview is over, he'll be able to get past his anxiety and finally be done feeling like a failure at everything. I wake up to the feeling of a familiar, numbing heaviness in my body. I try to move, tugging at what feels like a massive weight on my arms and legs, but all I can manage is to wiggle my fingers.
Carl giggles.
It feels like someone's pressing down on my chest, trying to suffocate me. And
Carl's growling.
And something's in the room with me. I can't help myself. I open my eyes. A blood-red glow fills Carl's room, as if from a night light covered in blood. The sight would have made me whimper if I was able to make any kind of sounds. My eyes flick around the room. It looks strangely empty. A lot more empty than I remember it, as if Carl is in the middle of a move. As if Carl is in the middle of a move, and he'd packed up all of his toys and decorations. In fact, the only thing I recognize in his room is his bed, the blankets tossed back and empty. I'm alone. I hear a chuckle right next to my ear, and it's straight out of a horror movie. Whatever it is, it's right out of my line of sight, and I can't turn my head to see what it is. My heartbeat picks up, and I decide to close my eyes, knowing that nothing good will come out of opening them. It breathes heavily in my ear for a while, and stops. The weight lifts off my body, and I feel its presence leave. I sit up, open my eyes again, and sigh in relief. But then I realize the room is still empty, and so is Carl's bed. Die! Something yanks me out of the bed, and suddenly I'm being pulled by both feet down the hallway, down the stairs, down the basement, towards the crawl space, into darkness. Furry legs crawl all over my body, and pinpricks pierce every inch of my flesh. I'd give anything to be able to scream right now. I gasp and jolt out of the paralysis. I wait a good 10 seconds before I'm convinced that I'm really out of it. Die! Round 2. Carl snoring loudly in his bed, one arm dangling over the side while his belly rises and falls. I sit up and rub my face, wondering how in the hell I'm going to get back to sleep after that.